History repeats itself. This is the focus group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Bennett. Find out everything you need to know about us at focusgroupradio.com, including our Tuesday podcast, TFG Unbuttoned. And you'll learn all about our sponsors there as well, including Deep Discount, which has been a partner of ours for many years. And we're going to talk about some of the great deals you can get at their site later on in the podcast. So the order of the show is things that capture our eye or caught our eye up first, followed by Deep Discount, a visit to Deep Discount, then the business birthday from Mr. Tim Bennett. And that is, of course, one of the only shows. We are the only show in the universe that does that. And then we have a shop talk about, the headline reads, some badass non-binary people from history. So there you go. Welcome to the penultimate week of June.
You know, John, I'm looking at our color palette if you're watching on the video, and I'm in a very dark, well, it's peppercorn is the color, the official color. Shows up very dark, and you're in a very bright and airy. Is that gray wall or is it a white wall?
Gray. It's gray.
So
and
it's like
the
a
door
dark
is white.
gray.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mine's quite, and I have a dark shirt on, so it's all very, very dark here.
Well, you know, we can say Happy Pride, right?
Happy Pride. You know, you mentioned the only show in the universe that does business birthdays. Of course, we're not the only show in the universe named the Focus Group now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know I tried to? So there's another show that's some political person. But do you think I should trade? You had asked me about trademarking the name. Do you think I should go ahead and trademark it? It's about $150.
I would do it.
But what does that get us?
I'm not sure, because then you have to go through the process of telling the people that are using the name this political, like, cease and desist kind of thing, and then
I just harass them.
Yeah, you're in a. So yeah, okay. So harassment wins the day, right?
Well, you just keep posting I keep posting our link to her site.
Hey, question for you, since you're down in our nation's summer capital or summer White House location. You saw the whole kerfuffle with Biden falling off his bike, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So there's an area called Gordon. So where he lives is, well, it's Rehoboth Beach, but, you know, Delaware is odd like Pennsylvania in that you never know quite where you are, where lines end and where they begin. So he lives in an area called North Shores, which is unincorporated and really just part of the county, although everything is serviced by Rehoboth Beach. So he was in a state park. He goes riding his bike. It's interesting. His house is not far from the park, and he and Jill ride their bikes all the time up toward Lewis, because unlike Route 1 further north, there's not a little road that connects the towns. You actually have to go out on the busy highway Route 1.
Oh, okay.
But you can do bike paths.
Yeah.
Similar to, not as nice as P-Town, I don't think, but similar to that. Not as duny. They're more rails to trails sort of thing.
Yeah.
But he takes about 5 or 6 Secret Service agents with them on their bikes as well, and just rides with the people. And you know, they were a couple ahead, couple of back, and then people find out he's there, because whenever he moves, there's an entourage of cars. And so people were gathering at the park. I did it once by accident. I was at the beach, and he just happened to be there, and I just watched him, you know, drive by when he was elected, not sworn in yet. But people waited to see him, and then he was coming out of the park, and Jill went to the right to go home, and he went over to go talk to them. And he got I have it on my mountain bike, but you have it because you're a cyclist, a road cyclist. He had his foot in the clip, the toe clip.
Yes.
And when he tried to get out, it twisted and he fell. I've done it probably 3 or 4 times over my life. I'm sure a lot of people have done it where your foot doesn't unhook the way you think it would and got caught, and he fell over. So, yeah, that was the...
You know, when I bought my first bike that had clip-in shoes, many, many, many years ago, I bought the bike in Jersey, and I was riding back home to go across the GW Bridge, and I came to a stop sign. There was grass on my right, and there was a car on my left. I forgot I was clipped in.
Yeah.
I just forgot. And I tried to move my feet, and they were clipped in, and I just tipped over onto the grass, and the car next to me, the window goes down, and this guy from the driver's side says, "Hey, are you okay? Are you injured?" And I said, "The only thing that's injured is my ego." And he laughed, and I said, "I'm fine." And I've made the mistake about 2 or 3 more times, but then once you learn, but it is something you can forget, especially, and in Joe Biden's case, I think that the bike he was riding had cages, like they call it a bike cage, so you slide your shoe in. It's even, and you get caught in that and you're doomed.
Yeah. I actually fell. I took my mountain bike out. Of course, I have that dead leg now from my surgery. But I actually fell the same exact place.
Really?
He did, yeah, coming around, and I got caught, and I tried to stop. I was meeting somebody to go for a ride, and I got caught, and then the bike just kind of stopped. And I was the same way you were when you said I kind of forgot I had the clips in. So I've gotten rid of the clips. I don't need them anymore. I'm not doing stump jumping.
Well, for the kind of cycling I do with my racing bike or my high end bike, the clipping in is essential because you transfer energy on the downstroke, and also when you pull up, since you're clipped in, you're transferring energy on the upstroke as well. So, but we're talking about shades of difference here between someone just riding and putting their feet on the pedals versus someone like doing what I'm doing. And I've trained people. I've taken people out riding, and I'll always say, when you come up to a stop sign, just remember to twist your foot to the right. You need to get ready to step down, and they always forget. And there's always the tumble.
You stop, and then it's like you're on a unicycle, or on one of those huge.
So
huge
top
bikes
of the
with
Pride,
wheels.
to y'all, have you had Pride down in Rehoboth?
Well, it's always Pride here. The actually DJ James Anthony's going to come down here to do a set. John, you'll have to maybe invite him over.
I think you should.
I was telling Mark and Carly was screaming. I said, I'll invite him for a drink. We'll see what happens. But he's going to be down. They're doing something each week. Delaware, I think, does out of Dover, the capital, which is kind of dead set in the center of the state, which is about as big as Central Park. They do a Pride celebration up there, but down here there's no official Pride, although everybody's got flags out and everybody's talking about it's Pride weekend. But we're so close to, not so close, but it's D.C., Baltimore, Philly. That's where the bulk of the people come from. So I think D.C. and Philly both are cognizant of New York doing the last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So down here, they follow more the Philly, Baltimore thing. And so it's kind
their
of
calendar.
Yeah, they don't want to fall over one another. But everybody knows that if you're within spitting distance in New York City, you'll probably go up there for the last weekend of June, right? That's usually when Pride is.
This Saturday, I believe, is Saturday, Sunday will be Pride. It's 25th, 26th.
Is there a parade, or are they doing something? Philly didn't do a parade. They did a march.
They're doing a parade, and it's been hyped up, and it's probably going to be pretty big because I don't know how big last year's was coming out of the event, the pandemic,
right?
Which, by the way, we're all kind of still in, if we want to be truthful about it, because it's still swirling around, right?
Yeah, no, very much.
But
so.
there you go.
A friend of mine's parents just got COVID.
I have talked to at least 8 people who avoided it all for the last 2 or 3 years, and then boom, and they're having similar stuff like when Bob and I had it, which was very mild because we're vaccinated and boosted, but it's here to stay, right? I mean, and that's the conversation I'm having with a lot of people is, well, it's here, so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I need to get another booster, I guess. I didn't get my fourth
Tim,
shot.
it's funny you bring it up. I had held off on the second one only because numbers were low and I wasn't, I had just had it, and our doctor suggested that if it's available, just get it. He's like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do it, so.
Right. Have you got a shingles shot?
Now the Shingrix is the official one. Yeah, I, again, highly recommended. And we held off on this because a neighbor of ours had a very adverse reaction to both shots. It's a 2-shot thing,
right.
6 months apart. And in both cases, he was down for like 5 days.
Wow.
Like it was almost like flu-like symptoms. The other side of the coin is everybody else I know who got it was like sore arm. That was about it. So I'm hoping I'm in the sore arm camp. But yeah.
Well, the issue was you had to have some distance between the COVID shots. So I was trying
Correct.
to pick which one to do. So I don't know what the protocol is. I've got to figure that out.
Well, if you do your booster, then just wait a week or two and then start the first round of the shingles thing.
Is it?
The Shingrix.
I thought you had to wait longer, but I don't know.
That's a good question. I shouldn't be so glib saying just wait a week or two. There probably is more of a protocol there.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
so sliding into the second to last week of June, the penultimate week, what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Well,
Well, whenever you start it like that, I'm like,
it's about a manager was fired from the gas station for selling gas for 69 cents a gallon. So this happened out in California, and the employee was gas was supposed to be $6.99, and he said he was distracted because an employee had come in and was trying to clock in and was having trouble clocking in. And while the employee was trying to clock in, he was trying to get the here's my notes. He was trying to get the rate set on the gas pumps. So as he was trying to help the other guy, he said he inadvertently did a 0.699 instead of 6.99. So this was in Rancho Cordova, California. So the guy's name is John Cezina, was the manager at the station. And so somebody pulls in and they start filling up, and then other people had pulled in, and they're all looking at one another. One guy said he filled up his
like,
whole...
can you believe this?
Right, he filled up his big SUV for $14.
Wow.
So they're looking at it, and they said all these people were standing there that had just happened to pull into this Shell station, and were laughing and saying, looking at each other with a big smile. So they immediately, of course, as people are doing now with their phones, got on Instagram and social media, and it was turmoil, mayhem at the station. So people started showing up at the gas station. This guy had no idea why, the manager, because I don't know what to run on gas or whatever. Finally figures out, somebody alerts him that it's all over social media. They have traffic blocked for people getting in. Some guy came with a 150-gallon tank to try to load it up. And now I don't know why they didn't shut the station down. But anyway, it took them over 3 hours to get the fix on the pumps. So for 3 hours, people were pumping this gas at 69 cents a gallon to the tune of somewhere close to $20,000 they lost.
Oh. All right. Now I can understand why the guy was fired. Okay.
Right. So he ends up getting fired. Now, and this is again where I said, why wouldn't they have either closed the state? Like when you realized you made this mistake, close the gas station,
yeah.
Right? But anyway, they kept the station open, so people had pumped, and they ended up, he was going to get fired, and they think he could also be charged with some sort of theft or something under California law. I was a little confused about it. They said he could be sued by the station for something with misuse of work funds or some kind of crazy thing. So the family started a GoFundMe page. And they've so far collected about $14,000 toward the 20, because he said he wants to pay it back, and he figures if he pays back what was lost to the station owner, all will be well and they'll move on. But he still ended up losing his job. They said that the national price of gas, while this happened last week, was about $5 per gallon, 5.01 to be exact. And they said last time gas prices were at 69 cents. Do you want to guess when that was? Last time gas was at 69 cents?
Oh, could I say like
gallon?
1949 or 52 or something like that?
No. That was gas was nothing. That was pennies. No, it was 78. 44
78.
years ago.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, 69 cents a gallon. 78 when we were driving around in high school.
Wow.
Or just starting to drive around, I guess.
No wonder I could fill the car for $3 and get somewhere, right?
Put in $2. Here, put in $2. I'm going out to the store.
Do you know I used to do that? I don't remember. You remember that big old Impala, that green car, that used car my dad would let me use.
Was that the one you hit
remember
the tree? You hit the tree.
The one that I hit at the senior party, and then my dad's like, "You better take this into metal shop and have them fix it."
Which I thought was hilarious. You take it into
That was the one night of my life where I come home and it's midnight or something, and my parents are eating an Entenmann's coffee cake at the kitchen table. Like, why that night?
Right, and why that late or whatever? So let's go have an Entenmann's. I wonder if they were waiting. You think they were waiting up for you, or just happened to be up?
No, my mom says they weren't. They just happened to be up. And I remember when I walked out and showed him the dent in the car, and he gets all livid. You got to take it to metal shop. They're gonna have to, the car shop at the school. They have to fix it. And my mom is like, Steve, they are not going. And then she told me privately, she goes, "Don't bother. Just don't bother. Don't listen to your dad." Parenting 101.
Who was in the car? Do you remember?
Who was in the car with me?
Yeah.
Stacy Kasane was in the front seat. Marion
Well, that's trouble with the T.
Yeah. Wonderful tea because she was the best, and Marianne was in the back.
Mary
And
Ann was in there?
Yes, and after I backed off the boulder that I hit, that pulled the fender, and the light beam, like one of the headlights, shoots up to the sky. I said, Stacy, could you check the car out and give it a... And meanwhile, Marianne's rolling around in the back seat yelling, whiplash, whiplash.
As Mary Ann would.
and I'm going to sue, whiplash. And then Stacy gets in. She goes, it's fine. Just keep driving. One light's going up. One light. Yeah, happy days. All right, so that was your story?
Yeah, so that was the guy ends up getting fired for setting the gas price wrong.
He got fired for going into a time machine and going back to 1978, right?
Right. What caught
Well,
your eye?
caught my eyes a little different. I'd like to introduce folks to Gay Rosé.
Oh my God.
So this brand, it's Gay Rosé, launched in 2021. And in just 1 year, the brand has already expanded its offerings to include Chardonnay and a number of other collabs with other brands. The recently launched Coming Out kit includes an 8-pack of their signature rosé and a dozen cookies from Austin Bakery Wonder Keks.
How'd I
don't
miss
know what that
this?
is. Tim Chan and Gay Rosé co-founder Josh Campbell, a self-professed straight LGBT ally, aim to erase the stigma associated with the phrase "so gay," reclaim the phrase, and uplift the LGBT community through the brand's messaging and by giving to organizations and nonprofits that support the community and all year round, not just during Happy Pride June month.
Are they affiliated with those Equality Vodka folks?
No, that's interesting you brought that up because I thought maybe it was some kind of branch of that, but it's
Yeah.
totally separate. One of the co-founders, Tim Chan, said, "We're seeing such an attack on the word gay right now. Our philosophy is that being so gay is something so worth celebrating." And I mentioned earlier that a portion of the proceeds is going to LGBTQ charities. And they would like you to harness your spending power and celebrate LGBT Pride Month with rosé that actually gives back to the community and fights to change the archaic and oddly modern narrative, since everybody still uses it, that gay is bad or that it's a choice of some sort. So I just thought it was interesting. I had never heard of it before. I'm a huge rosé fan. But, this is one of the challenges of launching a product like this is how do you get it into some of the stores, and then how do you get it into major distributors? Because, the liquor market is controlled by
Distributors.
a handful of major companies.
Where did you find this story? Do you remember?
LGBTQ Nation.
Okay, because I haven't seen it either, and I thought I would have. Now, there's another idea you and I should have come up with. I was talking with someone over the weekend that Bethany Frankel did that skinny margarita
Yep, I remember that.
and sold it for $100 million.
Yeah.
I mean, any of us could have done this, but we didn't. Now, this we could have done, too. Now, somebody went and bought some leftover juice in California, repackaged it. That's all they did.
Well, you bring up a great question. Sourcing the rosé is not as difficult as you may think.
No.
Tim literally just said this. There are many of the wineries out west, they fill their quota of bottles, and then they actually sell their grapes or their finished
Leftover
product to
juice.
other bottlers.
I'm
and
not so
vineyards,
sure I like the packaging on this, all the pinky. Do you? I don't know.
Um,
Would you bring
well,
this to
first,
a party?
Pink is rosé, right? Rosé is like not white, it's not red, it's pink. I could see bringing. I think the little cans are great for a picnic or something.
Or a beach. Take them to the beach.
Yeah, so I think, but rosé is one of those. I view it as totally a summer beverage.
Yeah,
I don't
very
look at
light.
it as something I drink during the. Do you drink it during
No.
the winter?
No, it's a summer. It's a summer drink. The at least that's what I think of it. But the I wonder if I didn't see a bottle. I saw those cans. I wonder if they sell a bottle. They must sell it by the bottle too.
That thing that we were looking at was
The package.
their a pack. Like a party pack. So they probably do have a bottle. I
I
should.
mean, if you bring that to somebody's house, it immediately says cheap. Don't you think?
Well, it's not like a classic bottle of rosé, which has some kind of nice little label on it or something, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I would say about it. It's I like the idea. I just think it feels kind of cheap.
Well, here's one for you. You've probably seen these ads on TV for Kim Crawford wine or something.
Yeah.
For the longest time, Bob and I were like, who the hell is Kim Crawford and what is she doing making wine? So his sister visits from California, and she's a wine aficionado. And we're like, who the hell is Kim Crawford? Oh, you got to buy it. It's fantastic wine. We were utterly shocked that the Kim Crawford label would be like something that she would be buying. But
Yeah, Mark and Carl take it to the beach, I think. Kim
you mean
Crawford.
when they you go set up on the beach for
Yeah.
sunning, right?
Yeah. So I don't know who she is. Is she a winemaker? I guess she's a winemaker.
I have no idea.
Probably should know that.
We watched the ads. We're like, wow, Kim Crawford. Okay.
I'm going to type her in. I immediately think when I hear the name, for some reason, I want to say New Zealand,
Yes, but I think it's Australian.
but I don't know what is Kim Crawford wine. Oh, there we go. Wines that embrace the flavor at the core of, yeah, they all have a good flavor.
Or
New
is she
Zealand, it does say
California?
wines of New Zealand. Huh.
New Zealand. Okay.
So something did stick with me. It's one of New Zealand's most exciting. And you could say this about Beringer. Of course, I've got to hit you have to hit a date in order to get into these sites. How old do you want to be? 1950.
Let's see if they let you in if you're 10.
Now, I hit in 1505. It said, please select another date.
You mean you got blocked because it's a
Yeah.
liquor site, right?
So it says it's a unique geography, New Zealand, vineyard, located, outstanding, blah, blah, blah. So I guess it's just wines. And from
Yes,
New
it is.
Zealand.
And apparently it's good wine. So we're going to add it to our next time I'm in a store. I may pick up a bottle simply because I'm deadly curious. And look, Tim, advertising works. I paid attention to the ad and to the Kim Crawford label, right?
Yeah, I've not seen the commercials. So she's spending money if she's playing up in New York.
Yeah, well,
Or
in
he.
our
I don't know.
region,
Is it a he or she?
Kim Crawford? I think it's a woman. Yeah.
Oh,
At least everybody in the ads are usually female. And of course they're guys too, but the lead is usually a female. So the imaginary Kim Crawford.
It probably doesn't exist. It's like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. As many of you know, Deep Discount is a partner of ours here on the Focus Group, and we would love for you to check them out by going to our site, focusgroupradio.com, and clicking on the Deep Discount logo, which is a shark. Arr, I haven't done him in a while because it's the Leprechaun month of Happy Pride. Top of the Pride to you. So this month is a site-wide sale. We love site-wide sale. You could pick up anything. Criterion Collection movies, toys, records, books, games, and of course, all packaged media. And so it's summer site-wide sale. And Tim, what did you decide to pick up this
Well, I was
week?
poking around, and what I laughed about was I came across this for under $13. It's $12.86 on Blu-ray. 3 movies, which you probably will never be shown on TV again without heavy editing, or will never be shown, certainly in public, or may even disappear. But Blazing Saddles, Caddyshack, and National Lampoon's European Vacation. Each of them takes a stab, hits every trope, stereotype, every sort of offends everybody along the way. Whether it's the country club and Caddyshack and the members there, whether it's all of Europe, as Chevy Chase wins, the family wins a trip to Europe on a game show, and ends up screwing up most of Europe, or of course the classic Blazing Saddles, which was a satirical take on westerns, and which again people that watch it now watch with big eyes and oh my gosh, nothing like this could be made now. So I can't believe all 3 are together. You're not a huge. I don't think you've seen any of the vacation movies, have you?
Just the first one, to Wally World, the first and the most famous.
I think
probably.
you would get a kick out. Here's my problem with these National Lampoon movies with Chevy Chase. I think they're funny up until the last 5 minutes. They can never figure out how to tie them up. They do all the gags, all the jokes, all the insults, but then the last 5 minutes are absurd. Like Wally World when they pull the gun out
Yes.
on them,
Yeah.
And the other movies are similar to that, I think. But you haven't seen. If you haven't seen, you've seen Christmas.
Yes. Yeah.
Christmas Vacation. But yeah, you would. I think you'd like European Vacation just because of France and Germany and England and all the insulting they do along the way. So anyway, that's what I picked.
And by the way, the Blazing Saddles, it's shown. So I'll tell you this: about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago, TCM Turner Classic Movies broadcast Blazing Saddles.
You're kidding me.
I was captivated to wonder if they were doing an edit.
Did
But
they
it
edit
was
it?
shown as it would normally have been shown back when it was released, with all the words, and I got to tell you, it can never be made today.
No.
But when you watch it, you can't stop laughing at the fact that every single person is insulted in some
Yes,
way.
that's what they said. They said no one was left unhurt. They said everyone got hit.
There's a scene we tuned into where they're trying to convince these railroad workers to help them build a fake town so that Hedley Lamar, played by Carol Burnett alum Harvey Korman, could storm in and take up the town. And they're negotiating for what they're going to give these railroad workers. They're going to give them land, except we're going to give the land to the blank and the blank, but not to the. I mean, and we could not believe. It was just it's a good pick. And a great price for the 3 movies. You can't even go to a single movie for the price of that.
No,
So
it's not, and on Blu-ray. So
thank you, Deep Discount. Now, continuing my journey of Camp Focus Group June movies that feature LGBTQ characters or storylines, I went with a movie that was directed by Tom Ford, which I really like, and it's called A Single Man, and it stars Colin Firth, who plays George Falconer, a gay professor from England, and who, when we meet him in the film, he's distraught over the death of his longtime partner, who's played by Matthew Good in flashbacks. And it's months earlier, the family's refusal to allow him to attend the funeral, and then he's so distraught that he begins to plan his own suicide. He decides to spend his last days on Earth reflecting on his relationship and connecting with an eclectic group of people. It also stars Julianne Moore, but it's a very thoughtful movie, really well done. I think it's Tom Ford's directorial debut, and you would know him as a fashion legend. So in my Camp Focus Group LGBTQ title category, I would recommend A Single Man. And the release this week is a movie that I am actually dying to see because it's Nicolas Cage basically playing Nicolas Cage. And the movie is called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Co-stars Pedro Pascal, who many might know in the Star Wars universe as the Mandalorian, but he's been in many, many shows, including Games of Thrones. And so here's the synopsis. Short on cash and with no callbacks coming, Nicolas Cage, as a fictionalized version of himself, readily accepted a multi-million-dollar appearance payday for the Mallorca birthday party of a worshipful olive tycoon, Javi Gutierrez, which is played by Pedro Pascal. Though quickly learning to enjoy the arrangement, it goes south when Cage is tipped by the CIA of his improbable fanboys' insurrectionist activities and is expected to help them take him down. Self-satirical action co-stars Tiffany Haddish, Neil Patrick Harris, and Ike Barinholtz. So the movie got actually really good reviews. I am a Nicolas Cage fan to a point, so I'm dying to see him play him. And I just think it looks like a fun movie. So there you go.
Jeez, I didn't, for some reason that one escaped me. I have not heard about that movie. I guess I've been out to lunch. I don't know what's going on. So again, thanks, Deep Discount. So you can get all of these great movies or pick some of your own. There's a site-wide sale going on right now through the end of the month of June. You can get to Deep Discount by going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on the Deep Discount logo. I recommended a 3-set comedy group of movies: Blazing Saddles, Caddyshack, and National Lampoon's European Vacation, all on Blu-ray for under $13. John recommended, on behalf of Camp Focus Group, A Single Man. And the new release this week is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So again, head over to focusgroupradio.com and click on the Deep Discount logo. We appreciate you supporting them because they support us. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got our business birthday. And then we have a shop talk, which talks about some people in history that may not be as people thought. So stay with us.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. Focusgroupradio.com is all you need to know about us, and you'll find our Tuesday podcast TFGM button there, as well as our partner and sponsor, deep discount. So, as Tim said, I know this birthday is going to amuse many people. So, without further ado,
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So born today, June 22nd, in 1882, was William Scholl, Scholl. He died at 85 years old in March of 1968. I think the name is funny because I always look at it as soul or whatever, but and that's how I remember he was related to the feet, right? So everybody knows he was a pioneer of foot care and the founder of Dr. Scholl's brand of foot care products. He was born William Matthias Scholl in Indiana. He was one of 13 children. He studied medicine at Loyola University in Chicago, and while he was doing his studies, he also became interested in podiatry, and he worked at a shoe store. So I guess, all things, being equal. In 1904, he invented and patented an arch support and founded the company Dr. Scholl's to sell it. He was joined by his brother Frank, who also would then direct the company overseas. He established a manufacturing facility in 1910 in London. When he graduated medical school in 1922, he went on to develop more than 1,000 foot aids. One of them included a silver clip designed to treat ingrown toenails. They said it didn't work so well, but he later came out with another steel clip design that was able to be more rigid and help with the ingrown toenails. He led a nationwide campaign for all shoe manufacturers to standardize shoe sizes. I didn't know that was an issue. I guess when you come to think about it, right?
It totally makes sense that there would have been standardized, but I can't believe you actually had to lead a campaign. Like, wouldn't they arrive at that? Like, we better make all the sizes standard.
Like someone should be a 6. I guess it's like a 36 waist pant or a 32 waist pant or whatever. So anyway, he led the national campaign. Finally, they said he accomplished that in 1905 by convincing manufacturers that they should standardize their shoe sizes as well as width and narrow sizes. He said they should be more accepting of other sorts of sizes rather than just narrow or wide. Now, I didn't know there was other things other than, I guess there's triple E or some of those other things.
Yep.
He was also the first retailer to sell shoes of different sizes and pairs for people whose left feet may have been bigger than their right or vice versa. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah,
You buy one shoe in an 8 and one in a 10?
Yeah, that's a big size difference, but I guess it's.
I think so too. See, he practiced medicine in Chicago from 2005 until 1946, while still also directing his company. He employed by 1918 he had over 300 leather cutters, press operators, machinists, packers, shippers, and he continued to serve as a company as the CEO until March 1968 when he died of natural causes. He's known, of course, beyond the soles and the some of the other products. They had corn pads, medicated discs, bunion pads, arch supports, soles, shoe insoles. He was famous for his advertising acumen and direct marketing to shoe stores. And he established the Foot Comfort Week. So he was one of these people, it's going to be Spaghetti Week or it's going to be this week. So he started Foot Comfort Week, and other advertisers would start copying by having weeks of their own. He left the bulk of his estate when he died to a foundation which since 1980 has given over $224 million to charity. He was never married. They said he was characterized as being quirky, and he always carried a skeleton of a foot in his pocket. I don't know why. Imagine why. I wonder why you're not married.
Well, because I was going to ask you if there were kids that received the family inheritance, but you answered that already.
Yeah. No, his brother Frank's kids did. So...
so he's a good uncle.
Right. So Scholl, he's attributed his success to the motto, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. That was his,
he forgot that makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise?
No, it was work like hell and advertise. Early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. That was his motto.
Okay.
His brother Frank, who had set up the original company, of course, was involved. And it was left to his nephews, and most notably his namesake, William Scholl, designed that wooden sandal. Remember the Scholl's wooden sandal?
I do remember those.
Girls would wear those. And so I, of course, went online. You could still buy them, either online or at places like Kohl's or Walmart. How much do you think those little things cost?
I bet they're like $40 now.
Well, so there's the original, which is a hunk of wood or cork, or they made of cork, very comfortable. So the... But they were some of them were over $100. Some of these Scholl
That's
shoes for men, they have sandals, they have all kinds of products for men and women. They have wedgies. But I couldn't believe that the company was still in business.
yeah, and that they would be charging that much for something like that, right?
Yeah, you can get the cheap, you can get the little just the you used to be able to pick them up in a plastic bag, I think at a drugstore
That's right.
with the
That's
wooden
right.
ones.
Yeah.
But those were I want to say they were 12 or 14 bucks at the time when we were growing up, but they showed those at Kohl's for 38 or $40 range. But the other stuff was all in the $100 $200 range, which I thought was outrageous. I don't know. I don't know what you think. Would you buy a Dr. Scholl shoe?
Not for that much. And again, I'd have to have the therapeutic benefits outlined to me of why this wooden slab with the leather strap over the top is going to do something, right?
Well, they're like the Birkenstock, right? The
Yeah.
little thing goes under your toe and click, click, click. But I remember the girls all running around with those things.
I do too.
Remember them? You can hear them banging in the hallway. Bang, 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 bang,
Clack,
bang,
clack, 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 clack.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Dr. Scholl.
Wow. Good one. Good one. I don't believe we've ever had him as a business birthday before.
No, we haven't. As I said, I've been checking, and in our database, it did not pop up. Now, somebody could make a liar out of us. Maybe 14 years ago we did it.
The
And it's just
Supreme
not in the
Court.
database.
The Supreme database down in Rehoboth. Click, click,
Yeah.
click, click, click. All right. As we mentioned when we came back that we have a Shop Talk article on famous non-binary people from history who changed social norms. It was a cute article. I enjoyed it. It really just profiles three individuals that go all the way back to Egyptian history and then forward. And they're non-binary, or at least that's what we would call them today. History's had a couple of hiccups about how they might define them. And the first person talked about in this article was a queen of Egypt, which automatically should make an eyebrow raise because normally that was a patriarchal society, and it was Pharaoh was usually male, and he was usually ordained by the gods or by Amun as the ruler of society, and it was Queen Hatshepsut. And I remember learning about.
Do you know anybody named that name now?
No,
Hatshepsut Nash.
Hatshepsut. She was an interesting. She was an interesting ruler, and I remember learning about her in my Egyptian history studies in college. I loved ancient Egyptian history, and in a nutshell, she was a female ruler, although she was depicted in many hieroglyphics and art that survived as being male. They would add a beard to her now and then, or they would put her in traditionally male clothing. And one of the reasons they did this is because they were trying to adapt the religion to accommodate a woman sitting on the throne that normally as pharaoh, and so they would invent all these things that, like, the gods did this. So I'll just read a little bit of her. So it was she was the 18th dynasty pharaoh, and the phrase for her was the king herself, Queen Hatshepsut. Throughout the 3,000-year history of the ancient Egyptian civilizations, its pharaohs have mainly been male. Hatshepsut is the second female pharaoh ever recorded. But the way her gender identity is portrayed through sculptures and art suggests it's not as clear-cut as it seems, as I said earlier. So the blur between male and female even goes beyond her physical portrayals. There's this thing called the Nun's pottery wheel. The chief god Amun gives Nuum instructions to form Hatshepsut out of clay to be placed in her mother's womb. And see, so they invent these things religiously to actually answer the question of how could she be on the throne. Basically, though, so even when the gods were made to speak of her, she wasn't defined as genderless. Instead, she was being both male and female simultaneously. So this historian who did this article about famous non-gendered or non-binary people through the history put her at the top of the list because of this very fact, because I would say that there was a couple other things going on there besides the fact that they couldn't decide if she was male or female. I think that she ruled with an iron fist, and she said, whatever it takes to keep me on the throne, invent the reason why to the priests. I could be wrong.
Do you think that you studied this? I did not study any Egyptian history formally, but do you think, having studied this, that Do you think there was a chance she was discriminated against and we just don't know about it, or do you think it would just people just accepted her for who she was?
When we studied her in Egyptian history, our professor was very clear in his belief that she had the backing of the priesthood and probably the military. And remember, ancient Egypt was a culture that lasted well over 3,000 years, which is
Right.
far exceeds what we're dealing with today. And so she willed her existence on the throne into existence by demanding that the same priests who were backing her figure out a way, canonically, if that's the word I'm looking for, to basically say, yeah, she can sit on the throne. But our professor was very clear to point out that she came from a family line that was extremely powerful, and
Right.
that there would have been consequences had she been removed from Pharaoh's throne. So I don't know that she had. That's a great question. Was there any form of pushback or discrimination? From my remembering of ancient Egyptian history, it was just she was extremely powerful from a powerful family, and they're like, make this work.
This might not be a fair question, but I'm going to ask you. So, when you studied, is there something to this day that still stands out about Egyptian history that
Yes,
you're
yes.
fascinated? What is
So
it?
Egyptian nobility often left their children something called letters or instructions, and it was, treat people this way, do that. And when you study these instructions that have survived, it turns out that 7 of the 10 commandments, supposedly handed down, from God to Moses, already existed in the form of these instructions from nobility to their children.
Wow.
Don't steal, don't covet your neighbor's wife. I mean, and when you learn that, you're like, oh, wow, okay, so the religions have all co opted things that existed before. Okay. So
Oh,
that was one
interesting.
thing, yeah. And that a lot of people think that the Egyptians were obsessed with death. They actually loved life and they revered life. But what remains of their culture is their death rituals, the pyramids, the
Right.
tombs, the mummies, the whole bit.
Wow. The second person on the list is known as the public universal friend. So she initially was born in the 18th century. Was a preacher who traveled across the northeastern U.S. Born Jemima Wilkinson, and she and her siblings were disowned by the Quakers of the Pennsylvania area, I assume. And so in her mid 20s, Jemima had gotten sick and run a fever, and they had this revelation that she was essentially had died but was reincarnated and the body had come back, and they had shed all pronouns and gender from her name, and she became the public universal friend. So, and they said she renounced her birth name as well as any gendered pronouns, and so they were referred to as they. And they said in 18th century United States we didn't have vocabulary or a culture at this time to refer to people that may have been or were non-binary. So they said, in fact, many writers of the time have gone against their wishes and outright portrayed them strictly as female. But they certainly were. They think the universal public friend was a pivotal figure in transgender non-binary history. I never heard of the public friend.
Neither did I.
The public universal friend.
And it's a whole thing also about this universal friend. There's this whole backstory about Quakers and Quakerism, which is fascinating. So, this was news to me, as is this last person that they profiled called Weewa. Let me get that thing up here. So this, compared to Western ideals, the notions surrounding gender are a lot less stringent in many Eastern and indigenous cultures. And that includes a lot of American Indian cultures. Excellent example of this fluidity is Zuni Native American artist Weewa. Born as a male in 1849 in New Mexico, Weewa was recognized by their community as a Ihamana. In Zuni culture, Ihamanas are biologically male people who assume roles typically performed by women. Weewa wore a combination of masculine and feminine traditional clothing. They were taught skills that were largely attributed to men, such as weaving. However, they were also taught other skills mostly performed by women, such as ceramics and pottery. Even that alone is fascinating to me, that weaving was a male-dominant thing,
Right.
and ceramics and pottery is female. Aside from having varied skills in craftsmanship, Weewa also participated in Zuni societies, which were typically specific to certain genders. They performed with the men's Kachina Society, a male group that performed ritualistic dances in traditional dress, and we've seen these kinds of things on TV or National Geographic. At the same time, they were also part of the Medicine Society, a female group that acted as healers of the tribe. Wiwa's exposure to their culture's many skills and traditions, completely unrestricted by gender roles, enabled them to become a notable and highly celebrated individual in Zuni culture and society. When anthropologist Matilda Cox Stevenson visited their tribe in 1879, she described Wiwa as, quote, the most intelligent person in the Pueblo, and that their strong character made his word law among both men and women. So of all the, interesting that in two of these cases, these individuals ended up being very powerful, or at least viewed as being extremely powerful or relevant or important to the tribe and or culture. So if you look at Hatshepsut, Pharaoh of Egypt, if you looked at Wiwa, a significant member of the Zuni tribe. And then, of course, the universal friend. There's probably more to that story with the universal friend, Tim, don't you think? Because aren't you supposed to travel around and do stuff like that?
Right. I wondered overall if this was, I don't want to say whether this stuff was true, but it goes back to the question I asked you about with Egypt, is whether these people were really accepted, and whether there was, I think it's great that we know their history or some of their history and they existed. I just wonder, considering how much discrimination we have now, and we certainly were a far more religious, being all mostly Christian, right? People at that time, particularly in the U.S. with these last two. I just wondered, considering how poorly we treated any minority, the Indians and everybody else, and as we conquered the lands, whether these people really were, unless it was just amongst their own people that they weren't discriminated against. But I just wondered if overall they might not be telling the full story here.
Full story. Good question. Very good question. Yeah.
But it does go to show. It reminded us. You and I talked a while back about Ronald Reagan not knowing about AIDS because of language and when he was born and all that sort of excuse they made. But this is the same sort of thing of not having words for something or understanding something, and someone's behavior, you don't know how to categorize it, right?
Correct, yeah.
So, well, that's where did you find this story?
That was also an LGBTQ Nation, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I missed
it was
that
in the
too.
Life section.
Oh, well, you were hunting.
I was hunting and packing, yeah.
So, okay. Well, hey, thanks for joining us here in this month of June. As John says, we're winding down some of our Pride programming, I guess we'll call it, here at the Focus Group. We want to thank our friends at Deep Discount who bring us to you each week. There's a site-wide sale going on right now, so you can add to your library or get some gifts for friends, or just buy some things that you may have lent and didn't get back, which happens to all of us. There's I recommended a 3-part Blu-ray set of Blazing Saddles, Caddyshack, and National Lampoon's European Vacation under a category called Camp Focus Group that John has devised. He came out with A Single Man, which stars Colin Firth. And the release this week is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So we invite
starring
you to
Nicolas Cage.
Starring Nicolas Cage. So head over to Deep Discount by going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on the logo. While you're there, you'll also find all of our programming information, past shows you can download for free, as well as our podcast, TFG Unbuttoned, which is released every Tuesday. We hope you all have a great week. Remember, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Take care.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.